kill by the time we reach the top.
Hey guys, Alex here from the Mike Sasson Show. We are here with Molly Alphabet. We are going to be doing interviews all week for the Millvale Music Festival. Molly Alphabet is going to be on the main Mr. Small stage, the River's Edge stage. And so we're interviewing a bunch of people from that. So we're excited to have her here. Welcome.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
This is your first time in our new studio. We're actually at the balcony of Mr. Small. So have you been to the balcony before?
This is my first time up on the balcony here. I'm really excited. I've been down below for shows lots of times before.
Yes.
But this is a great view up here, and I'm really excited to get a chance to check it out behind the scenes.
I hope you're not afraid of heights, right? This is a very high up thing. So you were one of the people, the last people in the Millvale Studios before it caught on fire. Were you a little bit afraid to come back and do an interview with us?
It didn't occur to me until I came in here and kind of sat down, and I was eyeing my exit plan here.
Yes, exactly. I think this might be a little bit easier of a studio to get out of. There's a little bit more windows as opposed to our back room studio before.
You can dive off the balcony here.
Exactly, yes. So tell me what was going through your mind whenever the fire started at the Millvale Studios.
It was actually completely insane. I was there to be the first guest on Petticoat Rule.
Yes.
Tara and Erica's awesome podcast about women in music, a focus on Pittsburgh's women in music. And we went into the little back room there of Millvale Studios, which seemed like a really cool place. It was my first time in there,
right.
Like a cool community space.
Super artsy.
Super artsy, really cool. And the crazy thing is Tara sort of kind of heard the fire.
Yeah.
So Eric and I had our backs to the door, and Tara just suddenly, she took her headphones off or something. And then there's actually a video of it that you guys have probably shared, I don't know, where you see Tara's face kind of go like, whoa, and she looks out the door. And she says she heard the fire.
Right.
And then sure enough, Eric and I took off our headphones, and it was like you could hear the crackling fire.
Yeah.
And we looked out the little door, and it was totally surreal. It felt like being in a movie. There was just a column of fire.
Yeah.
And we had to run around it.
I was there. I was literally walking up to the building, like when it had started. I think that you guys were already out of the building, but I was walking up and there was just a smoke everywhere. I was like, that doesn't seem completely normal. There's probably something going on. And then I
totally
opened the back
crazy.
door. I'm like, nope.
Not
going in there.
Erica was like trying to gather some of her things. We're like, come on, Erica.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. We had to wait hours to go back in, and my purse that I mainly use still smells like smoke, actually, but I kept it because it's kind of cool.
These microphones, if you can really smell up on them, I think it's gone away a little bit, but it still smells like we just had a fire or something, you know.
I think I can smell
like
it,
a campfire. It's sometimes very soothing. Other times you're like, oh, bad memories. Sometimes it's nice. But
yeah, obviously it's very tragic, but it was kind of exciting to be there. We had to get interviewed by the fire chief, and he asked a lot of questions about Brian and what time exactly Brian had been there, and then what happened.
Did he start it?
I was not on the news. I elected to stay out of the shadows. I have way too much family that watches local news. Like my phone would have been just blowing up. Like,
Right.
What are you doing on
What's
the
happening?
news?
Yeah.
They're from out of town, so I let them do it.
Yeah. I'm sure Brian wouldn't put all of that equipment in jeopardy by doing that. So they should have just mentioned that. Well, now that you're in somewhere that is, much more fireproof, let's talk a little bit about your music. I had my mom listen to you today, and she was a big fan of your sound.
That's our target demographic is moms.
Yes. Well, she's a big fan of my show. Surprisingly, I never would have thought that, but she comments every week and stuff, so she's kind of a big part of my show and obviously my life. So I was very excited that she liked your sound. Also, I do.
Nice.
But it's definitely a unique sound for a Pittsburgh born and raised person. How did you kind of develop that country sound?
Yeah, it's definitely strange. So my family's been in Lawrenceville for 4 or 5 generations on either side of the family. And growing up, my parents listened to a lot of doo-wop and sort of more like the music that is most around is kind of classic rock, I'd say. A lot of classic rock type stuff. And I, in high school, was way into the classic rock. And once you get into the folkier end of classic rock, like Neil Young, Bob Dylan, a couple of the Kinks albums, once you start to go down that end of the classic rock spectrum, you can decide to take the leap. I mean, when we went to see Bob Dylan in our first year of college, Merle Haggard was opening for him.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So, and like the guys behind us were like, "Why is this country guy opening?" And we're like, "Man, it's a one baby step over."
You can definitely see all of the similarities when you're listening to it.
For sure, absolutely.
And I would definitely say that you guys definitely have like a bluegrass sound to you, which I feel like is not as popular in Pittsburgh. So like, is it difficult kind of being in a not as popular genre, like playing shows here?
It's kind of fun. So we find the crowd that is into these things.
Yeah.
I mean, Park House has Bluegrass Night every Wednesday, and then we might meet people there that you start to find the other bands that do what you do. Like when I came back to Pittsburgh from going to college in Washington, D.C., I found out Slim Forsyth was living out of Need's Hotel in Lawrenceville and building a country scene there. And people who are looking for that kind of music really gravitate to those places and those people, and then they find out about what you're doing. So there are definitely plenty of country and bluegrass fans around once they get to know about you. And then just, most of my friends are in more of like indie rock, I guess you would say, bands, and they end up embracing it too, and I think that just has to do with everybody being so supportive of each other's music, sincerely, I think. Whether they thought they were a country fan or not, and same thing with me to their type of music. So it works out.
I actually just went to the Bluegrass Night at Park House for the first time like 3 weeks ago.
Nice.
And I was super excited about it. I went to banjo night beforehand, and then went to Bluegrass Night. So it was like completely filled night of wonderful like, banjos and stuff.
What more could you want?
I know, it's amazing. Have you ever played at Park House for Bluegrass Night?
Over the years, I'm sure that I have gotten up and sang a song with them because they like to do that. And I used to go a lot more, maybe let's say 5-6 years ago. And that's part of the model is they want people to just kind of be pulled in and jump up. So I've definitely gone up and sang a song or two.
That's awesome.
But then, Z, the owner there, is such a great supporter and booker of local music that we play there. Usually once or twice a year, we have our own Friday night that we play there.
That's awesome. It's definitely a very dancey crowd and like very loud. I was on a date that night, and not a good place to take a date. That was like first date. And I was like, oh, we can't really talk here. But
no, you're like stepping out of people's way.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of fun if you're like ready to dance and like I really liked the atmosphere of being there. So it has to be a lot of fun to play shows there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So when did you start playing music? Have you like grown up with it your whole life?
No, so I was definitely a late comer to it. In my high school, you had to be in either choir or art class. And I did take choir, but I wouldn't really try at all. I'd be like, I'm an alto, and just like stand in the back. And, I probably am an alto. I don't actually know, like no offense against altos, but I just would make no effort to project or anything. So some experience there, and going to Catholic school growing up, you kind of have to sing along to varying degrees. But it wasn't until I was 27 that I was ever in a band.
That's awesome. Yeah. And you started out with Chet Vincent, your husband, right?
Yes. So he had been doing music for, we've been together since we were 17, and he'd been doing music that whole time. And his band was starting to go in more of a rock and roll direction as opposed to a little bit of a alt country rock thing they were doing. They were going more towards straight ahead rock and roll, but he still wanted to write those folk and country songs. So we started out with him writing all the songs, and it was just supposed to be a recording project. He was like, I want to write country songs. I hear you sing around the house. I know you can do it reasonably well.
That's awesome.
So we just put the band together, and it was supposed to just be a recording project, but we had so much fun doing it that we just kept doing it.
What's it been like kind of coming into the spotlight with him? Like, is it a different atmosphere because you are married?
I think it's been instrumental. I mean, I have to say I really, really doubt I'd be doing any of this if it weren't for him. Just because of all that kind of groundwork of, he's put in years of just getting out there, getting to know where to play, who to play with, putting bands together. That base knowledge was just instrumental in putting that together. And having someone, so when you're starting writing songs, let's say I started writing songs when I was like 29.
Yeah.
That's kind of an intimidating experience that maybe people have more confidence to do when they're like 18, 19, 20 for the first time.
Right.
So having someone to be a sounding board, like, oh, what do you think about this song that I wrote?
Yeah.
That makes a world of difference.
Absolutely. Definitely when you haven't grown up with like that experience and like seeing other people do it all the time, I'm sure that has to be difficult.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome that he's supportive.
Yeah.
Kind of pushed you into it.
Yeah, so I'm always trying to encourage people who might be, in their 30s. I mean, I started taking piano lessons when I was like 27.
Yeah.
And picked up the guitar when I was like maybe 31. So I'm always telling people, just go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are you more of a fan of, I know like you do some songs that are a little bit more simple, and then you do some songs that like require like a big band. Which one are you more of a fan of?
I like classic folk and country songwriting.
Yeah.
And although it's so much fun to add the whole band onto that and just kind of rock out on them and have solos, my favorite kind of songs are just really well-written lyrically songs that might be a little bit fun, or the lyrics really get to you. So I think the best songs can stand alone with just, a couple instruments and a voice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those are my favorite kind of songs, but then it's just so much fun to throw the whole 6-piece band on them too.
Yeah. So what has been your favorite venue that you've played?
Wow.
I know that's a really hard question. That's like bringing back a lot of memories.
I know, I'm thinking back. We've played a couple sort of like Pittsburgh bucket list venues. I'm just like a all things Pittsburgh fanatic. And we played on the bridge. I'm going to say the Roberto Clemente Bridge for Picklesburg.
Yeah.
Twice. And then just on Friday, we played on the Gateway Clipper.
Yeah.
That one might have been the favorite because, you play your set and then you walk out and look at the skyline going by.
Right.
Same thing for the bridge, too. So both of those just sort of really memorable Pittsburgh. Awesome locations to play.
I feel like only in Pittsburgh would you ever like play on a bridge, with a bunch of pickles, like pickle stuff around you and a giant pickle balloon. That would only happen here. So you released a EP last year, right? Around the same time?
May 13th. It was during last year's Millvale Music Festival.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so we came over in the afternoon and checked it out, and there was already a huge crowd.
Yeah, absolutely. So how has that kind of been received in the last year?
It's been a ton of fun, just the reaction to it. We've made a couple music videos that people have really gotten a kick out of, and it's just so much fun to put together songs with your friends that you wrote and put some nice album art out on it and just put it out into the world and make a couple music videos, and it just gives you an excuse to kind of get out and play more to try to show it off.
Yeah.
And we've been having a lot of fun with it, so now we're recording our first full-length album.
And so are you writing all of the songs for the full-length album?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, so on that EP, Chet wrote 1 and I wrote 4, and now we're doing, I think, 11 songs that I wrote. Yeah.
So what can the audience kind of expect from what you're recording now? Is it a little bit of a different sound, or are you kind of sticking to what you guys have been doing?
It might be a little bit more of like a rocking outlaw country kind of thing.
Yeah.
So a little bit less. I think the last batch of 5 songs had a lot of sort of like almost like indie folk poppiness going on, like a lot of really playful sounds, very kind of poppy and upbeat. And we're going a little bit more country rock, a little bit more like of a Margot Price kind of thing.
Yeah.
With this one.
That's awesome. So a little bit fun to dance to.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like all of them are fun to dance to.
We're hoping.
I was doing that in my living room today with my family. But you mentioned Bob Dylan earlier, and you've done covers of his songs, right?
Yes. We used to sing "It Takes a Lot to Laugh, It Takes a Train to Cry." And I know there's another one. I can't think. We do a lot of, so we did that one by him, and then we do a lot of like Merle Haggard, Waylon Jennings, Loretta Lynn, Dolly Parton.
Oh, that's awesome. My mom would love those.
Bring out the mom.
Yeah. I mean, that's basically all of the music that I was raised on. My mom, like, since she was young, really loved, old country and that sound. So I was always raised on that, and everyone was like, why do you like these songs? I still play, I play them at work today, and everyone's like, Alex, what are you listening to?
Yeah, Pittsburghers don't know them. The couple times we've played out of town, they're like, yeah, everybody knows this song. And I'm like, now in Pittsburgh, they're like, I never heard this. This is fun. You're like, yeah, I know.
Is it kind of nerve-wracking playing covers of those songs, and like people that you very much admire kind of playing their songs?
Sometimes my thing about playing covers is I get a little bit burned out when we do play more covers than originals. So we play, our shows are kind of half shows where we're part of a showcase of local musicians, and then I want to do like all original songs. Right. And then half shows where we've been hired for people who want to dance. Yeah. And just party, and then we'll play almost all covers so that they might know them. Like, you play Folsom Prison and the whole place starts dancing.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, but the one thing that I'm always reminding myself is that country music in particular, playing covers is sort of like part of the tradition. You go see even any big country songwriter, and they're playing probably at least a third covers. Country music just has more of that sharing in the songwriting tradition. So I think I prefer the shows where we get to do more of our original stuff, but I also love tapping into those old songs too. Yeah,
I mean, it definitely is a tradition, like passing on, because it's basically just storytelling. A lot of those songs are a lot of storytelling, and it's just like passing that on, just how everyone has done for generations. So I think that's a really neat kind of thing about country music, and it definitely is like a big. I feel like it's more of a family than a lot of other genres too, which is cool that you get to be a part of.
Yeah, I think so.
So what shows do you have coming up besides the Millvale Music Festival, so I can take my mom to all of them? She'll see you on Saturday. She will be there.
Excellent.
But yeah.
Well, so this Thursday we're playing for the first time at the Hard Rock for Women Who Rock. Yeah. It's going to be a really cool event. It's Lindsay Smith is playing. It's kind of featuring female-fronted musicians in the Pittsburgh area. And then after that, so we have a baby on the way in the band. The drummer is about to have a baby any day now. So if he gets up and runs during Millvale, that's where he's going. Yeah. So between that and the keyboard player's going to Morocco for a couple weeks in June. So I think June we're kind of taking summer vacation. Yeah. Honestly, I think our next show then is the Deutschtown Music Festival, July 14th. And then August 4th, we always play every summer outdoors at Needs in Lawrenceville. Yeah. They have just the cutest, coolest little stage next to the bar. Yeah. So outdoors on August 4th at Needs.
That's awesome. Yeah. So you said you went to the Millvale Music Festival for a little bit last year. Yes. What are you looking forward to this year? Because I know I am very much looking forward to all the food trucks are there. I got amazing cheese fries last year, and I can't wait to see what I'm going to get this year.
I want to get to walk a little bit further off the beaten path, at least beaten path as far as the festival. Like last year, we had to get to our EP release, so we kind of just were right out on the main drag, and we only went as deep as I think maybe the main stage outside there. So I'm looking forward to getting back like towards isn't there things all the way back like towards the VFW and
everywhere.
Everywhere. Yeah, all these bars I've been meaning to get into. Yeah. Like I think is it Good Time Bar has bands often, and I'm always like trying to go and I can't go, so I'm looking forward to getting into all these doors that I haven't been into yet.
Yeah, it's really cool because I mean, even though I'm in Millvale all the time, I don't, like you said, like I'm not necessarily in all of the bars and stuff like that, so you get to see all these new places, and there's probably more people that are ever in Millvale at one time. It's crazy. It's like hopping the whole night. That's awesome. Even afterwards, like after 11 o'clock, everyone goes and parties. It's great.
That's awesome.
So you have to party.
All right.
But thank you so much for joining us. Like I said, we'll be posting interviews throughout the week, and obviously come to the Millvale Music Festival on Saturday so you can see Molly Alphabet on the River's Edge stage here at Mr. Small's. It's gonna be amazing.